Alex and the Outcasts by Frida Duplessis. There was once a beaver named Alex. Alex was a master builder like his father and his father before him. One day, Alex decided to build a lodge unlike anything the beaver world has ever seen. He spent months looking for the perfect location along the river. Then he found it. It was perfect. There were plenty of trees growing along the bank. It was quiet and the view was magnificent. He spent the next several weeks gnawing trees one after another, day and night, and then waiting for the wind to finally bring them down. He carefully stacked logs, branches, roots, and rocks to create the dam wall, and then he sealed all the gaps with mud and moss. He was very happy with the dam he built. It was beautiful. He spent the next day just resting and admiring his handiwork. Dad will be so proud of me, he thought. The next day he started constructing his lodge. The entrance to the lodge was below the water to keep other animals out. It had a dining room, a living area, and sleeping quarters. Unlike other beaver lodges, this one had a loft. In the loft he made 3 holes where he could look out and see the surrounding forest and any potential danger lurking nearby. Alex was no ordinary beaver, content with building a modest lodge and a standard-sized dam in an average location. No, Alex was a little eccentric, to say the least. His lodge was spectacular and stood out among all the lodges of the beaver world. If there ever was a home and garden magazine for beaver lodges, a picture of his would be on the cover. He was also a bit of a hoarder. He gathered all sorts of things he found along the river, like a paper cup that had travelled all the way from the human settlement a few miles away, a piece of fishing line, some clamshells, and a thingamajig that still remains a mystery. He would spend hours stacking and unstacking the stuff for no reason at all. Like I said, he was different. During the time that he lived there, he befriended many other animals that were also considered to be different or weird in some way, like Jeffrey, the kingfisher. One day, the other birds found Jeffrey down by the river, fishing with a fishing rod. "What are you doing?" they asked. "Why are you catching fish with a rod, and not like all the other kingfishers by diving into the water?" "I'm afraid of water," he replied sheepishly. There was a silent pause for a few minutes, and then the other kingfishers burst into laughter, dived into the water, and then shook the water off over Jeffrey. He dropped his fishing rod and quickly flew away. From that day on, whenever the other kingfishers saw him, they taunted him and called him names. Another of Alex's friends was a squirrel who was allergic to nuts. He ate flowers, veggies, insects, and plants, but no nuts. He was also a bit lazy, and so when he did go out to collect food, he would carry as much of it as he could in a single trip. He would drop most of his bundle all along the path so that it left a trail behind him. To find him was easy, just follow the crumb trail. Then there were the 2 homeless muskrats that squatted in Alex's lodge. He didn't mind too much. In fact, he enjoyed the company. They would sneak in and out of the lodge whenever they thought Alex was out. They didn't know that he knew that they were there. They ate the frogs that kept Alex awake at night, and so they were earning their keep, so to speak. He was also friends with the chum salmon in the area. They were outcasts as well because of the color of their skin. They were considered lesser by not only the sockeye and the chinook, but also by the humans that caught them. Did you know that their skin changes color depending on their circumstances? For instance, the males develop vertical stripes as they mature, and the females a horizontal stripe. They even change color when ready to spawn. Maybe the sockeye and the chinook were just afraid of them because they were different. Unfortunately for the chum, the local bear population did not care whether they were pink, silver, green, or red. They were not picky eaters when it came to salmon. They ate any color salmon. One lovely afternoon while the chum were visiting, they heard the muskrat scream. Alex hurried to the loft and peeked through one of the holes to see what was going on. Approaching the lodge from the west was a mama bear and her 2 cubs. They were close, too close for comfort. The 2 muskrats huddled together in the corner and continued screaming. Alex hurried to warn the salmon, but it seems he was too late. The bear was already there and her face was under the water just inches above the salmon. Both the salmon were lying on their sides with their mouths open. "Oh no, I'm too late," he thought. As the bear lifted her head out of the water, one of the salmon winked at him. After a few minutes, the other one opened one eye, looked at him and whispered, "Is she gone?" Alex was confused, but checked anyway. "Yes, they've moved on," he said with a sigh of relief. Then, realizing that the salmon were playing dead and with the bears a safe distance away, they all started laughing. "Phew, that was close. Great acting job, you two," said Alex. Just then, 2 white muskrats swam by them in a hurry. "Weren't they a different color before?" asked one of the salmon, pointing at the muskrats. "Yeah, the bear must have scared the living color out of them," Alex replied. At that, they all started laughing again. Moments later, they felt a rush of water that almost swept them away. "No! The damn wall is down!" yelled Alex. They all hurried to the wall to see what was going on. Sure enough, there was a big hole where the bears had been just a little while ago. Alex started to panic. He thought about all his hard work that would be undone and his home that would be destroyed if he doesn't act quickly. Fortunately, the eagle was nearby and came over when she heard the muskrat screaming. The eagle was a close friend of the beavers. She usually kept her distance because she knew that it would scare the beavers' other friends. But now she saw the danger and decided that she needed to help regardless of what anybody thought of her. Her beak and claws were loaded with twigs and branches, which she dropped over the broken wall and flew off to find some more. On one of her trips, she bumped into some other eagles and quickly recruited them to help. Together, they made one trip after another, collecting and depositing branches. Even the muskrats were now helping. They were felling small trees, left, right, and center, to keep the supply of building materials coming. The squirrel and the kingfisher heard the commotion and also came to help. The squirrel collected as many twigs and sticks as he could, and perhaps due to the importance of the project, he didn't drop a single one. He piled them up on the bank close to the wall, where the kingfisher picked them up and carried them all the way to the wall. The squirrel also used a broken clamshell to dig up mud from the bank. Below the water, by the wall, a large group of salmon were checking for holes along the wall. The beaver and one of the muskrats used the mud that the squirrel collected to fill the gaps between the logs and branches. They all worked together. They didn't have time to be afraid of one another, and they valued their friendship with Alex so much that they were willing to work together with all his other friends, at least until the dam was secure and the danger over. They toiled for hours, and finally the dam wall was like new again. Tired but satisfied with their efforts, they all went home, except for the muskrats. They became even closer friends with the beaver, and they were given the honorable title of Chief Loft Lookouts. Once in a while, they would all gather to remember that day and to celebrate their ongoing friendship. The moral of this story is that we are all different in one way or another, and these differences are not faults. They make us unique and interesting. When trouble comes, we unite for the common good, no matter the color of our skin, where we come from, what we're afraid of, or even what we believe in. Why do we do this? Because even though we are all different, we are the same, living creatures loved equally by our Creator. The end.